The Electric Rodeo is an adult toy megastore podcast about sex, toys, pleasure, and relationships.
It contains adult themes, adult language, and probably too much information about our sex lives.
Sorry, Mum. Kia ora, everyone. Welcome to the Electric Rodeo. I'm your host, Emma Hewitt.
And I was invited to the orgy to provide comedic relief. Tash Ball!
Yay! Can I have both comedic relief and the other kind, please?
Absolutely. Package deal when it comes to me.
Yes. Fun. When's the orgy? Now?
I don't think we have enough people right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
True. Just
but
the two of us.
In today's episode, we are adding in a third.
Yay! We're so excited.
Emma's first threesome?
My first threesome. Oh my God. Add it to my bucket list. Actually, I'm just ticking off your bucket list.
Yeah.
As discussed.
We're getting a little greedy up in here.
We are.
This season.
We are. We are. I have actually ticked one off your bucket list since I spoke to you last.
Off my bucket list?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on, let me think. Off my bucket list.
Of your bucket list.
Oh, the ribbing plug.
No, you were there. Yeah, the pussy bum.
Yeah. I literally started saying pussy bum and I said something else.
I have, and it was very fun. But we'll talk about that a little later because that's not the topic of today's
No, it
conversation.
isn't. Today's topic of conversation is threesomes.
Yeah.
And our guest in particular is Tika Tatyana, a good friend and ex-colleague of ours who has had many a threesome, loves them, lives them, and wants to let people know about them.
Yeah, she's a threesome queen.
Yeah.
She's killing the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I think that this is a fun topic for a lot of people to hear about because it's, of course, the most fantasized about thing in the world, multi-partner sex, particularly threesomes.
Notoriously.
So we're going to be talking about threesomes. Like, we've got Tika here. She's incredible.
Yeah.
So she has given us a whole lot of insight. So we're talking about like threesomes from the perspective of the third, threesomes from the perspective of the couple, and then threesomes from the perspective of just your slutty friends if you're not actually in a relationship, but y'all want to have a threesome together.
Yeah, and we talk about if you're a couple and you want to look for a third online, good ways to go about that and not be creepy on the dating apps. We also talk about threesome etiquette, and make sure you stay tuned in all the way to the end just because there's some fun stories at the end about, wild threesome experiences.
We got to have that in the threesome.
Yeah, we got to have a little bit of silliness.
Yay! Well, let's just dive in. It's a fun episode. Threesomes, foursomes.
Moresomes.
Hey!
Let's go. Today, we are joined by beloved Adult Toy Megastore alumni and self-proclaimed unicorn, Tika Tatyana.
Woo!
Tika used to be our beloved customer service superstar and was also an astrology expert and article writer on the team. Today, she joins us to offer some key insight from the perspective of a single woman who has participated in threesomes of varying dynamics. Tika, welcome to the Electric Rodeo.
Hello, guys.
Yay, we're so happy you're here.
I'm so excited.
I mean, we've only been waiting our whole lives, right, since we met you to talk about this on the podcast.
Exactly. I have been waiting my whole life for this.
I know.
I was born and I was like, I need to be on here.
I know, and we're so happy to finally give you this honour.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. I'm really happy to be here.
Yes. So let's start a bit about why you're here. Mm-hmm. You are a unicorn or have been a unicorn at some point in your life, a rare mythical creature. In your own words, could you tell us what a unicorn is?
Yeah, sure. So a unicorn usually is kind of defined as like a single bisexual woman who is down to have sex with couples. Mm-hmm. I've had unicorn phases, I would say. I would say I'm ever changing.
Oh, love that.
And so I definitely think in my early 20s, I definitely was like a hardcore unicorn. Mm-hmm. And then now it's kind of like, if it arises, it arises, but I'm not like on the hunt the whole time,
Love it. I mean, the phases of the moon, the phases of Tika's unicorn era.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Definitely.
How often have you been the unicorn versus participating in a threesome when none of the people involved were in the couple?
So I was thinking about this actually, and I think that it's about 60% have been with other singles, and then 40% have been with couples.
Solid ratio.
Yeah, I love that you've done the stats on that. Thanks
I did
for
the
bringing
stats.
some
I
hard
crunched the numbers. I got my team and my accountant to work on it.
Right. Yeah, oh, good stuff.
Yeah,
good
yeah.
stuff. She takes it seriously, everyone.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, she
and
does.
that's what we like here at the Electric Rodeo.
Yeah, we take sex seriously.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting, though. Like, for some reason, I don't know. It's always kind of in my head that it's like mainly couples seeking out people for threesomes, but it's really not, right? Like,
No, definitely
like you
not.
said, 60% is just like 3 people
Yeah.
all in it together.
Yeah. Just 3 horny people.
I suppose in my world, it seemed I would also assume that it's more so couples, but that's just because it's what I'm saying. Whereas, you're just being a girl time gal, getting together with a couple other peeps, and
I've just got slutty friends.
Yeah, also that.
Living the dream.
My friends aren't slutty enough.
Yeah, we're going to need to up our slutty friend ratio, I think. It's the friends letting us down, it's not us.
Actually, my slutty friends, which would include you two, we all like to giggle and joke about having threesomes, but we don't. So,
well, you two both have. I'm on the back foot.
I mean, with each other.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
I mean, what are you guys doing after the show?
Yeah. I'm free.
Yay! So, other than like slutty people,
Yeah.
is there any type of couple or dynamic that you find yourself like getting in with quite frequently?
Yeah.
And I want to talk about like the gender split soon, but I also want to know, is there just a type of person that you end up with more so than others?
Oh, like just sexually?
Yeah, just like, you know how there's like people have a type.
Yeah.
Do you have a type for threesomes?
Specifically.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've had threesome partners that I've had a few threesomes with.
Yeah, okay. Recurring threesomes.
Yeah. So like I like the dynamic when we have sex together in a group dynamic, right? I think just open-minded people or people who I feel really comfortable around, people who are down to have fun, who don't take themselves maybe too seriously. Yeah, I definitely have found that in general the women that I've had sex with in threesomes are a little bit more like free and like open. Whereas the guys sometimes need to be the ones that are brought out of their shell a bit more, actually,
interesting.
in those situations. But that's just my experience.
Do you like the fact that you have to bring them out of their shells, or do you wish?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, no, I've had some experiences where the guys are very confident with what they're up to, but then I've also had ones where they're just like so happy to be there that they're a little bit,
so cute.
you know, they're just, well, it's a lot of like,
Yeah.
guys like, oh, I wish I had a threesome, and then they have a threesome and they're like, oh, what do I do?
It's
Or like,
Yeah, totally.
yeah, so they actually get a bit more nervous sometimes than I would say the girls.
That makes sense because I think that's such a thing that guys want to do, right? It's very much on the list is like, have a threesome, 2 women, me. But then when it actually comes down to it, it's just like, oh, fuck, like, can I actually like live up to the standards I'm putting on myself? Yeah.
Not one,
I
but
know.
2.
Terrifying.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So what's your ratio of MMF
Yeah.
to FFM?
Okay, so
Sounds like radio stations.
it does. We're on FFM right now. I've only actually had one MMF, and that was at the start of this year actually. But I would say, mainly FFM. I think just because for me, it's like I'm a bisexual woman. I get you get the best of both worlds. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Real Hannah Montana up in here.
Real Hannah Montana, but I think I would like to have another MMF situation, but I do think safety is a big part of it.
Oh my
and
God.
I've just found like I don't want to be in a situation where it's like two like bros being like, yeah, we like had sex with this bitch. It's like I want to like be like worshipped and you guys to be like, oh my God, I'm so glad I had this experience. And also them not to be maybe fully straight because I don't want like weird competition or them not to like I don't know. Like it's nice when everyone's involved.
You don't want to be the one holding the whole thing together.
Yeah.
Like if you leave the room, they're just
sitting
They
there
just
like
stop.
Yeah, or like
freeze.
they get insecure with each other. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think my ideal situation would be that they're like, you know, at least leaning, not fully straight.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Did you know the 2 guys that you did it with?
I did. I didn't know one of them.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess I got to know them.
Quite intimately.
Yeah. That it was a random situation in a van at a festival.
an MMF in a van.
Love that. At a
yeah.
festival.
At a festival.
Oh, I mean, look, what a time to be alive.
It's the best place to have sex
You're
at
already-
a festival is a van, honestly.
Yeah.
that's 5-star hotel.
Yeah, better than a
have told me
tent.
this.
Better than a tent.
Yeah.
Way better than a tent.
Oh my God, if I was having a threesome in a tent and then people did that thing where they start like banging on the tent and shaking it, I would have
Terrifying.
to stop. So yeah, van's probably the best call. Interesting about the MMF thing, because George and I are discussing that sort of thing at the moment, and he's like, I'm only comfortable if it's actually someone you're already a sexual partner with, because I'm his number one concern with any kind of E&M stuff we do is my safety. So he wants to know that I'm like completely safe in the situation, and then I think that suppose will mean that he's not going to feel anxious about anything like bad going down.
And I also think it is definitely the responsibility in that situation for the two men involved to really talk about clear boundaries and to also make the person feel really safe. Obviously, everyone should do that in every situation, but I think just our society, man, we got to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I love that this is George's number one thing for you around
so
like
nice.
everything is just like your safety first, because obviously,
You get
but I
yourself
feel
real
like
bad.
I feel like that's just very important, and I really love him for that.
It is great, especially because when we were talking about doing an MMF, like even recently when I brought it back up, because now that obviously I've ticked off the FFM, I was like, we had a little bit of a deal, because it was like, we can do one if we do the other.
Yeah.
And I brought that up recently, and he was a bit more iffy on it, but he always just will like ruminate on things, and then when we have the conversation next time, he proactively was like, actually I've been thinking
cool.
I'd be cool with it, this is just my only concern. So yeah, it is, I am very lucky that that's his like main thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good on him. We love George. Let's have a little chat about hunting down hot couples.
Hunting them down.
Yeah, I mean, like, on an app, out in the world. Say you're in your early 20s, you're in one of your unicorn phases. How do you pick out a couple? Like, do you do that, or do threesomes kind of just happen organically, or is it a mix of both?
Yeah, so I'd say that I've had times where it's been on apps or organically. I've had both. Nowadays, I'm kind of anti-apps just in general. Like, I'm just not about it, so I'm not going to be doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see me on an app, though. Don't judge me. I'm just needing some validation. But I think, previously it was kind of like seeing the vibe that I liked off couples on an app, then often the times where it's been organically has been through friends, like a couple who are also my friends. But I think in general, like if you're someone that is out searching for a third person, apps probably is a good way to go, especially if you don't want to be having sex with your friends.
Yeah, true.
Not everyone's on
Not
board
everyone
with
wants
that.
to do that, and that's okay.
That's fine. Either way,
It's okay to not want to fuck your friends. I can't relate.
Yeah,
It's okay.
can't relate, but I do understand it.
So have you ever been on the other end then? Like, have you ever had a threesome where you have been a part of a couple that has found someone else?
No. So I am scandalous. I have never been in a relationship with someone where we have had a threesome with someone. I do want to do that in the future, though.
Yeah.
But I think because of me having been a third a lot, I know how important it is to have a solid foundation. And like, I'm not really a long-term relationship girly, haven't had that much.
Yeah.
And so I think oftentimes with my partner, it's been that we just haven't been at that level yet. And, we're too obsessed with each other. I don't know, like other things like that. And so I think it's really important to have that solid grounding. So I'm not even going to be thinking about that with someone I'm in a relationship with until it's like talked about, discussed,
Totally.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have obviously been that person.
Yes.
I've done something you haven't. This is wild.
Oh my God.
You've done all of the
First
other
time.
ones. Did it once gets to claim it.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think
have.
Tika's completed like both of our bucket lists, just to be clear.
Yes, I have. I do think, probably going from your perspective of being a single person, and then once you get into the situation of being in the couple, I think there's probably more value in that dynamic. But I definitely can understand, even from the one that I had, how I would potentially move as a third within the space of like being a unicorn to another couple. So it's good to like have that perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I need to get back to talking with Jay about this stuff again, because we started off
Tika's in
as
town. No, I'm
like,
kidding.
oh my God, I wasn't saying that because you're
Bro,
here.
the amount of friends that I have that would be happy to have a threesome with you and Jay. If you guys need to have a threesome, like...
Well, we haven't
You've got people
talked
lining
about
down the
it.
street.
Honestly,
Emma.
they watch the podcast episode with Jay and they're like, he's a little bit beautiful.
Who's this handsome devil? Are you looking for a third?
Like they knew Emma's been hot, but they're like, she also has a hot man.
Hang on.
Wait a damn minute.
Wait, hold up, rewind.
Sorry, what were you
Well, I
gonna
mean,
say?
I love all the words of affirmation, everyone. Thank you so much. Great to know we're hot. And now we're like we're on solid footing. Because when we first got together, we had talked about threesomes and all the shit that you do when you first get together and you're just talking about every topic under the sun. And but we had kind of had a few jealousy issues and stuff to start with. And now we're just not like that at all. We're completely different.
That's great.
And so now I feel like the floor's back open, but we just kind of haven't really brought it up again.
It can be a lot of effort.
I know.
Low key.
We discussed that in one of the earlier episodes. I was listening back recently where we were talking about what you would have to do with Pixie.
Exactly.
Yeah, the dog.
Where we're at now, because it's just it's not going to be hot if we bring someone home to our house, and we would probably do that because we're
You got to use the whole space. You got to use the lounge, indoor outdoor.
Yeah. I
know,
to the
I
bedroom.
know.
So
But
it's just a dog sitter.
The whole that's actually a good point. Tash, what do you?
You can
got
phone a
on
friend
this
if you
weekend?
and Jay want to have a threesome. You can absolutely give me a buzz.
Yeah,
and
done.
I'll
Okay.
suss
I mean, what
it.
a great idea. Why didn't I think of this sooner?
I'm keen to hear your perspective on the difference between having a threesome with a couple versus just two other singles, basically. Is there quite a difference in the dynamic?
Yes, I definitely would say so. Not necessarily in the bedroom, actually, that much, but more the pre-stuff. I feel like there's a bit more negotiation, I guess. That seems like a very business-like word.
With a couple?
Yes, because with three singles, it's a bit more Wild Wild West. It's as long as you're consenting and as long as you're having fun, it's let's go for it. And you're all single, it doesn't mean anything. We'll figure that out later if it does. Whereas with a couple, it's there is something serious here and it's their relationship. And so I think making sure that they've communicated to me that it's all good that I'm there, because you don't want to be in a situation where they're jealous or anything like that.
One of them's doing it to please the other one, and then you
It's got to be a risk, right? That's going
and maybe it
be
could
the
come up.
case.
What if, say, you've talked about it so much, and then all of a sudden during the act, it freaks you out.
Yeah.
And so having that conversation with the partner beforehand, but also making sure that the third person is very involved, feels safe, all those kinds of things. Yeah.
Have you had any situations where you were the unicorn and one of their vibes was off?
No.
Well,
I haven't actually. I'm trying to think. No, I don't think so.
that's positive.
Yeah.
That would be so awkward, right? Being the third person. It's awkward enough if you're out with friends who are a couple and they have a fight or something like that.
Oh my God.
Imagine if they had a fight when the three of you
You're
were
all naked.
fucking-
I know.
what do you do? Does
but
the angry one storm off and you guys keep going? What are
And
the
I
rules?
think it
Definitely
can.
not.
I think it can happen, but I honestly am just don't have a threesome if you're that kind of couple.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
true.
I think it does happen, but I think it might be less common than people think because people have a lot of fears around it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, because this is unicorn hunting in general is a bit of a hot button topic in the ethical non-monogamy polyamorous community space, because unicorn hunting is seen as unethical because when you have the couple and that relationship structure already there, it means that potentially the unicorn, the third person, doesn't have that same autonomy. There's couples privilege. They're going to be looking out for each other before they're looking out for you.
Yeah.
In terms of just looking at that dynamic in a purely sexual space, so not polyamory, not full-on relationships and feelings, do you think it is possible to create an equitable scenario where everyone's needs are being seen to equally?
100%. I mean, I think even the term unicorn hunting, the word hunt, there is
It's grim,
It's
mate.
grim. It's this idea. I think what it comes down to though is it's are you using someone just for their body and you don't give a shit about them? And it's if you are fulfilling this fantasy. Actually, something I want to say here also is that if you are wanting to fulfill a fantasy and you want a third person, hire a sex worker.
Yeah, true.
You don't need to make a third person uncomfortable by putting all this other stuff on them. I do think that's why it's really important though to negotiate beforehand and make the person feel comfortable so it is an equitable space. But I also think it's this idea of it's our fantasy and the third person is
A sex toy.
A sex toy, right? I hate that. But
Yeah.
on top of it is the unicorn is getting something out of this too.
Yeah.
They are getting off on the fact that they are in this loving space with a couple.
Yeah,
They enjoy this. That's why they're choosing to do it. So I do think saying that it can't be equitable is actually taking any power out of the third person by saying they can't have that enjoyable experience. I think it's just the term unicorn hunting, and it's also very fetishization of bisexual women, which already happens.
Calling it a unicorn, like a magical creature. It's like we're kind of at a point where it's just a bisexual woman. Like we're not this magical creature just because I'm bi and happy to have sex with more than one person.
Yeah.
But we're just using this phrase, obviously.
Of course, it is a fun little phrase. It's just like, people also use it wrong.
Yeah, there's some bad connotations.
Yeah, the way that we're using unicorn is a very reclamation girly pop kind of way.
Yes. It's cute.
So in the next question, it literally is, let's talk about etiquette specific to unicorn hunting.
Yes.
But so for those of our listeners who may be in a couple and they're looking for a lovely person to join them in a situation, how do they go about that without being creeps?
Yes. Okay. I have a lot of thoughts on this.
Yes, good.
So I think, say you're online, if you're looking at it online, anything in which you're saying, I'm here to please my man, and and it's his birthday coming up soon, like anything that kind of insinuates that you're doing it for the guy in that situation, for me, automatic no. Anything where, like, I'm not really about when you don't show your face. I know that is kind of a complicated one because some people don't want to share that with their friends and family and they could find out. But in my opinion, like, if I've got my face on there, you should have your face on there. Anything in which you're just trying to make the person feel used for their body, I think is just like, and, you know, and that's just normal dating anyway. You don't want to do that. And so I think that's the way to not be creepy, is actually give a shit about the person that you're having sex
100%.
with. And you're making it like this, oh, you're just going to fulfill my fantasy. We've been talking about this for so long. It's like, you can talk about it like that without making it like so like dirty.
It's like a respect thing, right? Like,
it is
so
respect.
much of this just seems like such common sense. Because I also think that, I know that there are apps specific to looking for people for the situation. And there will be people on there who are the reverse. So it might be a single person looking for a couple to fuck, or vice versa. You know,
that's
there are
simple.
places where you can do that. Like, you don't have to like use all the normal platforms and stuff, you know, like you can actually do it in a very respectful and upfront way, which I think is the best. Because I've heard stories about people that it's like they're on like a traditional dating app, like a Tinder or Hinge or something, and it's like one person in the relationship, and then all of a sudden, partway through the conversation, it comes out that they're actually a couple looking for someone else. And it's just like, don't do that.
No,
it's so
advertise
obvious.
yourself as a couple.
That happened to me recently. I matched with a guy, and then he was like, oh, me and my partner. It's like, I didn't match with you and your partner. I matched with you. And it's like, I think he said that he was in an E&M relationship. But if you are on here looking for a third, you need to be upfront about that. Like, I'm not going to, it's just stupid.
Definitely.
Being in a non-monogamous relationship doesn't necessarily mean that like you're looking for a third for your current relationship.
George and I
either.
specify on ours, or at least on my one, I say I'm in a E&M relationship and we're dating separately. Like, I put that very explicitly. Because now that I've met some other E&M people who have kind of come out and been like, oh, we're actually a couple, I want to be like explicitly clear, I'm not dating as a couple. I am just a single person who happens to have a partner. Because my number one like dating app ick with this sort of thing is just when it's just real like short form, like it'll just be like some random like sexy photos of like each of them individually being like looking for blah blah blah. It's just like, this doesn't tell me that there's going to be a lot of open communication, like that there's just going to be a lot of discussion about what's going to go down. It feels very fetishy and like they do it in a weird way.
And that's why like it's really important to, I don't know, maybe get to know the person a little bit as well. Like
that's a bit of me.
Yeah, like date them. First, at least.
I like that. That's a good idea. Like, don't just be like, message, all good, come to my house, like, let's do it. Like,
and maybe that was for some people.
Yeah.
But like, I just don't think it's gonna go down as well. Personally, you need to know you're attracted to each other first.
I was talking to a guy. It was like a couple profile, but I was talking to the guy on it and I was asking about their handles because there was no pictures of her, and he was like, we could start a group chat on Snapchat, and I was just like, that's a nice idea because at least we're all involved, but I'd also just rather like meet you in person. Like if you're not willing to meet me in person to like have a coffee and like actually meet me as a person and not just the person you're about to have a threesome, I'm not interested. That's weird to me.
That's fair.
Let's build a perfect couple profile together. So say we were putting a profile on Field, which is an app specifically for finding a threesome. So for anyone listening, maybe ditch Tinder or Hinge and actually go on Field. What would you include, starting with the photos and in the bio, if they were looking for a third?
Yeah, I actually did not know about Field until recently, so that's cool for me to know. I guess with Field, something like that, you can be a bit more upfront because that's what it is for.
Yeah.
But I would say that photos of you separately, photos of you together, photos of you not necessarily being like super sexy as well, like things you guys like a normal dating profile, like things that you like to do. And I think being pretty clear that that's what you are after, how you want to go about it, like we'd love to get to know you first, or whether it is that you just want to have a one-time thing. Being really clear about how that goes, whether it's that you wanted to date them as well, like if it's a long-term thing, or you're just trying to figure it out how it goes, like being specific enough so that the person knows kind of what they're getting into. If you are on Field, or if it's a bit more of a sexual kind of thing, maybe saying any kind of kinks or things you're into, just so that the person is kind of understanding that there might be a match or not.
Love. So we've got the perfect profile. Just a couple of fish, not too many, don't overdo it.
Yeah.
Now that it's worked, it's perfect, someone's loved it, we're going to have a threesome.
Okay.
It's the big day.
It's the big day.
Oh my God.
What is like the etiquette for the threesome? For the couple, say they're doing it at their house.
Yeah.
What should they prepare? Like, are we talking snacks, towels, lube?
Yeah.
Obviously condoms. But like, what's the go? What are we doing?
Okay, so I'm thinking about my own. Okay, so one where I definitely, it was like a very like met on Tinder. We went on a date first, and then the next time we saw each other, by the way, they did take me out for dinner. That was really nice.
Oh, that's good.
I feel like that's like kind of respectful and cute.
Fuck yeah.
And then we went back to their place. Maybe not because alcohol, you don't want to drink too much, but they did have a bar, and that was kind of sexy and hot.
Okay, flossy couple.
Like, so they like were making fancy cocktails, but like, again, do not drink too much in a threesome. Don't recommend that. But I think, snacks. I mean, a charcuterie board's kind of hot.
Fucking yes, couldn't agree more.
Like snacky things, I feel like.
Nothing sticky though. Nothing sticky on the fingers.
No, like, or at least have a
wipes.
I don't know, like
wet wipes.
Cheese, grapes, things.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wine. I feel like that's quite nice. I think setting the mood with lighting is really important.
I'm all about the lighting.
Music. But, it doesn't have to be overtly sexual, because then that's kind of lame. Do you know what I mean? Like putting on like Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye is like a bit much.
There's a bit of a line, right? It's like we want it to be classy and sexy.
Yeah.
Not cheesy and sexy.
Yeah, like put on like what
But we do want cheese. It is hard. It is hard.
It is hard. But I mean, I think like putting on something that's like what you normally would listen to when you're chilling out. Being authentic to yourself, but also making a bit of an effort.
What's so funny about this is when we were preparing for our threesome and I was like freaking out about setting the vibe, I literally messaged multiple people and was like, what music do you play? What music do I put on?
What were the answers?
My friend Alex had a sex playlist that she sent to me, and she was just like, I got this from a partner. Lots of people have shared it around. It's pretty solid.
I'm sorry, wait, you didn't use the sex playlist that I sent to you last year?
You sent me a sex playlist?
I've definitely sent you.
It was probably just too sensual. You know what I mean?
That's fair enough.
We were just
you wanted
chilling.
some System of the Down in there or something?
That's on my playlist.
Well, that makes me feel good. I mean, we didn't put out a cheese board, unfortunately. But we were like, we've got some drinks, we'll be chilling.
Yeah, make it a vibe. It's like it's a little party, it's a little soiree. Make it an event, but you don't need to go overboard. Just don't have like your like no sheets and your mattress on the ground.
Oh, like dirty sheets.
Oh my God,
like
actually.
Not made bed.
Oh, disgusting.
In our old room, we had a projector, like a wall-mounted projector set up. And so when we transitioned from the lounge to our bedroom, I couldn't help but feel the need to say, I was just like, by the way, that's just a projector. Like, I was like, we're not recording it.
Oh, that's so good.
That's actually really good.
Okay, because I wasn't sure if that was like completely throwing off the vibe or if that was a nice thing to do. But with this girl, like nothing could have thrown off the vibe. I literally, actually, I'll phrase this to you as a question, Tika. You already know the story, I'm pretty sure, but you're a third.
Yes.
You're traveling through. You come to a lovely couple's house. The woman is gorgeous and voluptuous and delightful.
Yeah.
You guys like starting to get it on, you're making out, you and the girl are making out. Her nipple piercing falls out, brand new nipple piercing. She has to leave the room and leaves you with just the guy.
Yes.
How would you feel in that situation?
That's such a great hypothetical question
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
posed to me.
Definitely hasn't. I think one of our viewers actually wrote that question.
It sounds like a viewer question.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Jenny.
I'd probably be chatting. I'm not going to lie. Chatting, maybe doing a bit of... Wait, in this situation, had the third kissed George yet?
George? Who's George?
We've said George was there.
Have they made out? Yes. Yeah. It was mainly me and her doing stuff, but they...
Okay, so they had
making
kissed.
out. But they had kissed.
Okay,
yeah.
so
He
then I
was
probably would
around.
just be kissing.
Okay.
Or like kissing or chatting, because I feel like I wouldn't want to go further than that, because
Right.
I'd be like, I don't want this person to feel left out. But I'd be like chatting, kissing, like being a bit horny with each other, but not really taking it to the next level, because that would be awful for the other person to walk in and they're just like at it and they're like, oh, I missed out because I had to redo my nipple piercing.
Very interesting.
So how did it feel when you had to walk back in and they were in fact fucking and you couldn't get your nipple piercing in?
No, so I think when I came back the first time, she was giving him head. No, I didn't care.
Yeah,
I felt
you're
so bad.
unfazed.
I was like, you guys have a great time. Do whatever you want. It's fine.
Oh, so
I'll
you
go deal
did
with all
say
this.
that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, they were fucking, yeah.
I was like, you
did I
told
go
me they
away
were
and
fucking.
come back? No, yeah, I came back and they were having very enthusiastic sex, which I loved. Like, that's how I kind of,
Yeah, yeah.
that was the first moment where I
Yeah.
realised I was into voyeurism.
Yeah.
Because I walked in and I was like, well. What do we have here?
I'm
I am just going to stop
Voila.
you guys. Not because this is great. I love everything that you're doing. George, I need a little bit of assistance.
Yeah, I felt bad to have to interrupt them.
That's so
but
funny, though.
that's good to know. I think that's just different strokes, different folks.
Yeah, you
and-
had said, right?
And here's the thing, you did ask how I would be in that situation.
Exactly.
Everyone's different in
Yeah.
every situation. Like I'm like that, but maybe the other girl isn't like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everyone's
Yeah.
different.
I just wanted everyone to be having a good time. So I was like, you do whatever you want to do, and I'm going to do what I need to do.
And that's actually a really good point that I want to bring up, is that I think in a situation where it's an FFM and it's a couple, I think I'm sorry to the shy people out there, but I actually think it's really important for the woman in that situation to be a bit more forward than usual with communicating to the third person. Like, as women, I think like you need to know that that person's safe, that they're not going to get jealous. Like
Yeah.
you need to be like, I get so not turned on that you're kissing my boyfriend. That type of talk, or talking about it beforehand. And the bedroom, it's fine if the dynamic shifts because you're naturally a sub. I don't care.
Yeah.
But the beforehand needs to be so clear that you are so fine with this, that you're wanting this, that you're instigating it. Otherwise, that third person is just like, how do I interact with the guy, because I don't know if this is fully okay with the girl, I guess.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think just like girl code, girl vibe, like we just have a way of engaging with one another that like maybe takes a little bit more work between other people sometimes, which I think is also probably like very helpful in situations like that too.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, what was interesting in our one is I think she was both of our, because we had those discussions, like I need to have just like a certain number of questions answered before I even consider stuff. So for me, I was really like pretty insecure about the fact that I hadn't been with a woman before. So I was like, can you tell her that before we go any further? Because like if that's going to be an issue. But it was her first time as well. So I think because we were on quite a level playing field that helped. But I think she definitely, ironically, was very excited to be with a woman for the first time. So I think in terms of like if I was that kind of partner where there might be a bit of jealousy, it wasn't really an issue because she was being assertive with me.
Yeah.
Primarily more than George.
Yeah. It's so funny that you bring it up, because my first ever threesome was with a couple, and that was also my first time with a girl.
Really? How did you feel about that?
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, I was about it. We didn't discuss whether we'd been with women before.
I just do too much talking.
No, but it's okay. Like I was in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and I was young on my OE, and I got picked up by a couple, and honestly, it was one of the best threesomes I've ever had.
Really?
Were these the ones
OG?
with the bar?
No.
They took you out for dinner.
Yeah, no. That was the one where I squirted for the first time.
Oh my God, what a time of absolute firsts for you.
I know, I squirted for the first time with a woman. One thing that did make me feel
What
a
a
lot
surprise.
better about the situation was that she was like, okay, I did make me feel really good about the situation, was when I was going down on her, she was like, she's done this before. And I was like, I have not.
Yes, please. Yes, I have.
I was like, I'm just natural at it, I guess, but in my head. But no, that was a crazy time. I squirted for the first time, had a first time with a girl, and first threesome.
Amazing.
And it stays right up there.
Yeah, and it was really good. It was because they were so fun. They were really hot. And
Helpful.
they were very communicative and very like strong in their relationship and really down to have me. That's why it worked, I think.
When you say they picked you up, like what was the
At
situation
a bar.
then? At a bar.
Actually, it was quite funny. So I was so naive in that she started dancing with me. We started chatting and she said, oh, my boyfriend's over there. And I was like, okay. And then she starts like...
Give a fuck.
Yeah, I was like, all right, whatever. And then we start dancing again, like, you know, a little bit tipsy, whatever. And then she starts making out with me. And I'm like, I'm like, I guess they're the type of relationship where she can make out with girls. And then she's like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, okay. And then her boyfriend comes over and starts dancing with me. And I'm like, this is crazy that they're both into me and neither of them know. I was like, that's wild. Like, that's so
Tell them.
dramatic. Yeah. And then
Main character moment.
like, oh my God, like I should shut the fuck up. But yeah, and then they kind of were like, do you want to come home with us? And I had to have like a little bit of a think about it. And I had my friend be like, you have to do it.
Do it now. You're on your OE. You're in
my God.
Rotterdam.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Oh, that's fun. Okay. So we just kind of discussed this a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
But like if you're in the threesome,
Yeah.
and you're vibing with one partner a little bit more than the other.
Okay.
What's the deal here? Like, is it your responsibility to make sure both people are involved, or are you like, fuck it, I'm super into you, like, let's just lean into it without pushing the other person out?
Yeah.
But like, how worried do you need to be about that, I guess, if it happens?
I think low-key is the third. I don't think you have to worry about that too
Yeah.
much. Like, I feel like that's not... I mean, okay, everyone is in charge of making everyone else feel good and that it's a shared experience,
Yeah.
right? But you don't have as much of a connection with the partner than the other person does. I think it's really important for the partners to be clear of making sure everyone's involved. But also, I'm sorry, sometimes there's just times where you're not as much involved as other times. I don't know. It's so dependent on the people that you're with.
Yeah.
As long as you're not like, I don't know, like kicking the person out.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know, but also, yeah, you just can naturally be more in tune with another person. I don't know. I don't think I've ever had that problem personally.
Okay, that's good.
You can also like make, I mean, it's the same as like generally with sex. If there's something where you kind of want to manage a situation, you can try and do it in a sexy way. You
Like
could
kick the
and you can
extra
make-
person out in a sexy way.
No, if you're, say you realize as you're having sex with someone, say you're more into the girl than the guy. And then you can make it so that they're having more sex with each other and you're more doing stuff with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like there's so many
True.
different ways of having sex together.
Yeah.
That like I don't really think I've never thought of it as a problem. I have had, scenarios where I've liked someone more than the other person or the vibe has kind of changed.
Yeah.
But it's never been in a couple scenario.
Yeah.
So
Never been enough to cause a fight.
No. Oh, I hope not.
Maybe afterwards.
Maybe
eh?
afterwards.
Once
Not
you've
your problem.
left.
Not my problem.
You were way too into that. No, you were too into that.
I think that's what people are worried about though. And
Yeah,
it's like I
true.
honestly think that like if you talk about it and if you've been thinking about it, it's way more of a stress. I think people think that threesomes are really stressful.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they're really not.
Yeah.
Like everyone's just having a good old time. It's actually real casual and fun. Like it's a
Yeah.
party.
For me, the only stress I think of is, again, like the fact that if it's with another woman, I don't have as much experience
Yeah.
there. Just because I'm such a pleaser.
And that's fair.
Like, I always want everyone to be having a good time. And so, like, I hate the idea of, like, in this situation, especially if I'm in the couple, if I'm doing something they don't like and they don't feel like they can say anything about
Yeah,
it. But
yeah.
again, that comes back to having conversations beforehand. Like, if I were to have another threesome, there wasn't a language barrier with this one. There was a language barrier while we were having sex, I think, because some things I was saying was not getting heard. But
Yeah.
when we were discussing it beforehand, it was fine. But yeah, I feel like there's things you can do to just avoid that happening.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Comms.
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 the comms.
Always. 2 people, comms. 3 people, comms.
Yeah.
More people, comms.
Yeah.
On that note, ever had more than 3?
Oh, it
More
was more-
sims. More sims.
Yes, I have had an orgy. I've had one orgy, and that was last year. It was a very
I remember this.
Actually, we've talked about this. Yes.
oh god.
That's right.
I think it was if I was in a situation again, I would do it differently because it was a very random one. It was kind of like, we're all having an orgy. Do you want to join? And I was like, okay. Did I have fun? Yes. Was it my ideal orgy? No. Did I know the people? No.
Interesting.
Didn't really know the people.
Yeah.
Do not continue to know them.
Yeah. I wonder if that's better or worse though, because it's like, how many of you were there ish?
I think it was in total like 7.
What?
But two of the people in the room, and they were not interacting with the rest of us.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So there
I was like, I swear there was 5.
5 that were kind of interacting, but it kind of was a bit, I don't know.
On the outskirts.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm trying to be.
Yeah, I was going to say that's Tash.
Yeah, and I feel like, I don't know, I think I'm kind of down. I really want to do a sex party or something where it's like a bit more like you talk about it, focused on games. Like there wasn't really that much communication. Okay. Sex games. I honestly, that is such a fantasy of mine. Like I really love the idea of doing sex games.
Why didn't that occur to me?
I don't know. It's kind of fun. It's very like, it's kind of bringing high school to it a little bit.
It feels very like spin the bottle. Yeah.
Yeah, spin the bottle with truth or dare, or like I don't know, like that kind of shit, or like someone's blindfolded.
Oh my god! Stop.
I'm into that. So I think I nearly went to a sex party once, but I didn't end up going. But I definitely want to do sex parties.
I didn't know they played games.
Yeah, they do.
I want to play games. Truth or dare. Like normally, you know, when you're playing like truth or dare, it's like, we don't want to get too sexual.
No, you do want to get sexual in this contest.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god, fun. That's on the bucket list.
Yeah.
Season
we're
4.
extending them. Yeah. We're taking everyone else's ideas and putting them on our next season bucket list.
And actually, what's interesting about the orgy as well is that there was the one person in that, you know, you were talking earlier about how do you deal with someone if you don't want to get involved. And an orgy, that's more likely to happen, mate.
Yeah.
So
true.
I was not as interested in somebody, and he was like, do you want to have sex? And because I actually really struggle saying no sometimes in conversations. And so I just didn't say anything. I just was like, I didn't.
That's a no.
And then he went, okay, no, it's all good. We don't have to.
Good.
Oh, good.
And I went, great. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
if it's not an enthusiastic
yes, exactly. So it was very consensual in that regard.
That's good.
But yeah, that was a situation where I didn't want to have sex with him, and then I didn't do that.
Great. Good for you.
Yeah.
Didn't do that.
And good for him for being like, I think that's it. Like, if you're in a group of really sex positive people, they know the fucking rules about like how to behave around other
everyone
people.
should. That's
I know.
what pisses me off.
I know. It's frustrating.
Someone's
that
thinking about it. Like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Bottom of the barrel stuff.
Yeah.
But it is true. Like, and the more people you have in the situation, the more chance there is, unfortunately, that things can go wrong.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's good. Yeah. Like organized sex parties or like sex clubs where they have security and they've got rules.
They have people that lead it and kind of create the space, hold the space. I think that's really important.
Super important if you got more people. But hey, I mean, I'm glad you had a good experience. Even though it wasn't perfect, it was fun.
It was fun, yeah.
Well, now to bring it back to toys, very excited about this one. Have you used any sex toys during any of your threesomes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course. So definitely, use vibrators, restraints, that kind of thing. One that I do want to talk about because it is on the bucket list. Is when I heard about this, I was like, is that in a threesome with a very good friend of mine, we had quite a few threesomes, me and her together. We did peg someone together. So that's a toy using a strap on.
Yes.
That was an interesting experience. First and only time I've ever done that.
What's a first happening during threesomes?
Yeah.
For me, I think for me, it's like, it's just a fun time. Just more down to experiment. And that's why I think toys are really important because, I've heard people be like, but what do you do if you have nothing to do? And it's like, sometimes there are times maybe where that is happening, not always. A toy, chuck that in.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah,
everyone's
true.
getting stimulated. I did have a threesome overseas. I've just come back from being overseas.
I slot that in just so you know I've been on holiday.
Yeah, I've been in Mexico and Colombia for 6 months. Ask me about it. But yeah, no, we did use a toy. The girl did have a cheeky little toy that she had with her, and that was really fun. So yeah, I think toys are really important in general, but I think actually in a threesome maybe even more because they just add a bit of fun. They let people get a bit loose and a bit more like experimental and maybe less, I don't know, do you find sex toys less intimate or more intimate?
I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters either.
I think you can.
What a good question though.
Because sometimes I feel like one-on-one it can change the intimacy because you're focused on this other thing.
It can, absolutely.
But with a group, I don't think it does that.
That's interesting. I don't think it's a huge deal, but in terms of like speaking one-on-one, there are sometimes where, because we use toys like almost basically every time we have sex. Sometimes I do like pick up a toy and go to like, get mine that way, and then I actually have put it back down and been like, oh, actually I don't like that I'm more focused on doing this than I am on my partner. So I think it can change the dynamic in that way,
right?
But I've
also had the exact opposite though, like,
really?
And maybe it's around kind of like newer toys or like things that we don't use all the time. So maybe it's that maybe there's like a level of familiarity and just kind of like, oh, this is kind of like a nice, fast or easy way for me to do this.
Yeah.
But if we're trying something new together, it can feel like super intimate. Yeah. And I think it's because it's like you kind of have to talk your way through it a little bit, and they're like, how does that feel? Oh, good. Like, how does that feel? And so there's like a little bit more kind of focus on each other and how it feels for one another, which can kind of be an intimate thing, I guess.
Yeah, true. I think it depends.
Yeah,
I think it depends.
totally.
But I think in general, toys with threesomes, very good.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there's so many body parts flying around.
I know.
So it's like,
there's so much to
someone's
do.
not being stimulated.
Yeah.
Grab my vibe. Oh, we can't have that.
Definitely. I'm definitely about it. Yeah.
Fabulous. And our last question for you. I mean, you've said, a lot of things you've done, some things you might want to do, but because it's the reason for the season, what's on your bucket list?
Okay, so what's really funny about this is that I started writing my own sexual bucket list last year that I have on my phone, and I have written down ticked off things, and there's things that I have not ticked off. And actually, one of my previous partners, he saw my sexual bucket list and was like, we need to tick some stuff off and have my name there. Great guy. Yeah. Shout out to you. But the thing that I really want to do, and I think it's going to have to be a particular person that can do this with me, is I want to do role play, but we stay completely in character. Method.
Yes.
We are completely fully in character, and like, this is so embarrassing to admit, but I was very into theatre sports when I was in high school. I did go to regionals. Did we win? No. But it's in my DNA to do a yes and every now and then. Yeah. And so, being with someone that we've got these characters and we can do it. And I've done it a little bit with someone, but I think getting into that, I would really like to do. But it does have to be with someone that is also down.
100%.
Because you're so right. It's so easy to just like break out. Like the number of times that I've done role play, and it's just like at some point one of us will crack.
It does have to be the right person.
Yeah, no.
But I have specific fairness. I have specific role plays in mind, like specific.
Any that you would like to share?
And you know what? I'm just a narcissist. I think I've realised this, and like not like in a clinical terminology, just like I'm very vain, and so I kind of like love this kind of like a goddess play thing, like Zeus and Aphrodite, like, you know what I mean, like
you're both gods,
or like I'm a queen, or I don't know, and they're my like my favorite guard. I don't know.
Ooh, that's fucking great.
To me, like a bit medieval, a bit like old school.
Wear the necklace that you're currently wearing. Oh yeah, because that's very on brand for that.
For god or queen.
Yeah,
god, queen. Yeah, that kind of vibe.
Be a god queen.
I don't think I could ever do the teacher thing because both my parents are teachers.
Oh yeah, that's probably ruined that one for you.
I've also been a teacher before. Like I'm just not really about that.
That's fair.
That makes sense. I mean, I'm not really interested in role playing as an electrical engineer, which is what my dad does. So,
whereas me, on the other hand, because I'm super into electrosex, that's like perfect for me.
I actually never think about role play because George is just such a literal person. He wasn't all up in the theatre like we were, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I don't think it's his jam. I think I could get into it again with the right person, but it just never occurs to me.
It has to be a mood setting thing as well.
Why are you looking at me like that?
No, I don't think I've ever talked about role play with you before.
No, we haven't.
And
I brought something new to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Well, what do we say? Like I always first happens when I'm in a 3, and right now I'm in a 3. First conversation.
Oh my
god! Oh my god! Should we all make out?
Yes. First make out session on the podcast.
Do not say that right now. I'm ovulating and I need to be chained to a tree. Honestly, I'm like a werewolf. Someone needs to like I can see why hysteria happened back in the day. Like oh god, I would have been lobotomized in 1945.
All right,
another great role play.
Oh my god.
Just kidding. Okay, there's limits and we're down.
To close, do you want to let people know what you're up to, plug some socials, do a bit of that?
Sure thing. So I am Tika.Tatyana, Tatyana, on Instagram, and I do astrology readings, astrocartography readings, tarot readings. I think there's a little highlight button on there, but you can just like DM me. Maybe don't DM me about threesomes.
Only DM her about
business. I'm a girl boss, and no, I'm kidding. Please. Oh my God.
We will blast you on the podcast if you DM her trying to have that threesome.
Don't cut that.
No, I also am a belly dancer.
Yeah.
So I will be at. This might come out afterward, but I'm going to be at a festival teaching and performing there. And so I can be hired to perform at weddings and that kind of thing. So belly dancing and astrology and tarot stuff.
Yes, and for those who listened to the astrology episode, and I was the expert on that, Tika is essentially my teacher. She is a big part of how I got into
I was, what is it, senpai?
Senpai,
yes.
Padawan. No,
Yeah.
I'm Padawan.
You're Padawan, I'm your senpai.
So her readings are fantastic. They're a very reasonable price. If you found that interesting at all, I would definitely recommend checking her out and getting her to do a little reading for you.
Thanks
She
so much,
judged
guys.
Tash hard for that.
No, I didn't. I loved your guys' episode on that. I was very proud.
Yeah,
I was very proud.
your little baby,
My little
astro
student.
baby.
I'm very proud, and it was very good, and it was very interesting listening to you guys talk about your own signs, and I was like, yes, accurate.
Yeah, oh my God.
So if you haven't listened to that one, go listen to it now because this one's ending.
Oh, yay, it's the end. Well, not
no.
yay, sad. We're so sad. Well, thank you so much, Tika, for joining us. I made a joke at the beginning of the app how we've been waiting for this our whole lives, but we actually genuinely have wanted her to come on the show for so long now, so we finally did it, and you're just such a dream.
Thank you so much,
And
guys.
a threesome inspiration to us all.
Yeah.
That's all I hope to be.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Electric Rodeo podcast by Adult Toy Megastore.
Follow Electric Rodeo free on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And to keep up to date with our bucket list progress, follow at Electric Rodeo Podcast on Instagram.